Hey, if you want to off yourself early through crappy eating, that's up to you.
Hey everybody, how are you? It's Chris Crowley with Desire for Iron Fitness. Again on the show today, really good friend of mine, Tom Kiait out of Costa Rica by way of Canada, multi winner of several natural bodybuilding competitions, and also the author of The Ultimate Men's Playbook. If you have not read that yet, you are doing life wrong. It's an amazing book. Be sure to check it out. Tom, thanks for coming back on the show today.
Hey, appreciate it, brother.
Awesome. So something that you and I were discussing a little bit ago, and something that should really be addressed just to the public at large. There seems to be a new trend. There's too many people bickering at each other, especially on the internet, which is a great place to get some great information. But then on the flip side, the dark side of the moon, if you will, the sharper edge of the sword is people pitting themselves against each other and almost being dogmatic about some of the silliest things. And something I'm noticing a lot is there's like two different camps nowadays that are saying that, a husband shouldn't have a dad bod and he's not going to be sexually attractive to his wife if he's not in shape. And then the beta male guy saying, well, the reason why I don't even take 5 seconds to go to the gym is because I'm too busy waiting on my wife and children, hand and foot. And, the point that I think a lot of people are missing at it, it's not necessarily about just looking good with or without your clothes on. It's also about having a quality of life and being a good example to your wife and your children. What's your take on this?
Oh, man, I'll tell you what. I've been training since I was 16 years old. I'm 52 now. So that makes it 36 years. Aside from, I'm going to say the initial 8 years, I hate weight training. I hate cardio. I don't necessarily love all of my meals. So I can relate to a person who says, I don't want to go that route. I understand it. I don't agree with it. But I can understand this whole route of I'm going to forego exercise, because there's this impression when you see a guy like Dwayne Johnson, The Rock. The Rock wakes up at 4:30 in the morning. Jocko Willink wakes up at 4:30 in the morning. You see David Goggins working, jogging very early in the morning. If that's what it took, if it took 2 hours a day, 6 days a week, I'm out. I'm not interested. If it meant going to the extreme and working out super hard day in, day out with very minimal progress, and I had to deprive myself of all the fun foods and take away time from my kids, to go to the gym, I'm out. And now I think a lot of people think this is what's required to get into shape. But when you take a look at the simple steps you need, then you realize this is a no-brainer. It really is pretty simple. So let me ask you, Chris, do you think somebody can get into shape with 30 minutes daily, 6-7 days a week, whether it be a little bit of weight training, going for a walk with the dog, with the spouse, playing with the kids? Yes, right?
Correct. I mean, exercise is really just a fancy term for movement. Whether I'm doing a bench press or I'm doing jujitsu with my kids or walking the dog, I'm moving. And honestly, I don't think we were designed to just sit in a chair all day and then get home and sit in a recliner all day. As much as I'd love to just binge watch Netflix right now and just have a 6-pack, next to me and a bowl of nachos to the side. But at the end of the day, I know that's not conducive to living a healthy lifestyle. Not that I can't enjoy that sometimes. The big game is going to be on here in a little bit, and maybe I am going to enjoy some food that I wouldn't normally enjoy. But
right.
The payoff. I don't want to do it all the time because, shoot, anyone who's watched my channel more than 5 minutes can see photos of how that didn't work out so well for me.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. Now, so as far as the exercise is concerned, as you said, all it takes is movement daily. That's all it takes. The second thing is food. Now, again, if you were in a situation where you were deprived of pizza, nachos, barbecue ribs, whatever you desire, completely, that's out of the question. I could see somebody saying, no, that's not for me. That's too rigid. Here's the thing, Chris. 6 days a week, I eat foods I enjoy in the calorie proportions that I'm required. Every Saturday, I have a refuel. I have whatever I want. It's like my birthday every Saturday. I don't crave anything because I have that quote unquote birthday every Saturday. There's nothing I desire. Now, when I first started this kind of scheme, this plan, I was so excited about Saturdays. Nowadays, it's no big deal. It's just another Saturday where there's a calorie surplus of a bit of fun food. So again, when you take a look at the average person saying, I don't think I can do anything extreme, you don't need to. You just need to lock in on some kind of healthy meal plan that you enjoy. That's it. Chris, can our audience do that?
I think most people can easily do that. Right.
Yeah, exactly. Sleep. 6 to 8 hours, going to bed at a regular time, whether it's, let's say, 10, 11 o'clock, getting to bed, and then having a good sleep, waking up at a regular time, and not messing up your circadian rhythm. Everyone can do that.
Easily. I know for me with my circadian rhythm, something that I've had to do is get my iPhones out of my bedroom because it's easy throughout the night. My bladder's a little bit older than it used to be, so I might have to wake up in the middle of the night to go relieve myself. And the first thing I do when I lay down is I grab my iPhone to check if I got some new Instagram message, because it can't wait until 4:30 when I'm really going to wake up. I got to look at it now at 2:30. That's it. I am done with the rest of my sleep. So the iPhone's out. If it's really something super urgent, my children know how to get a hold of me on my home phone. I still have one of those landlines. And anything going on at work isn't that important at 2:30 in the morning.
Exactly.
I can get up at 4:30 and check those things out. So, some of these things that we're so accustomed to, used to be back in the day, if you wanted to get a hold of somebody, you had to wait till they got home. You left a message on the voicemail, on the answer machine, or left a message with the mom or whatever. Hey, have Tony call me back. Okay, got it. Now people can get instant access to you. And so we're just wired differently now. Sometimes you got to go back a little bit old school to biohack yourself, if you will, and get better.
Yeah, big time. Oh, yeah.
So,
and then you take a look at drinking water. 8 to 10 glasses a day. I mean, our bodies are 70% water anyway, so it makes sense to drink the water. And then the final thing is keep a positive mindset. Anybody can do that. And if you can do that consistently over time, you will have exactly the physique that you desire. Within certain limit, 6-pack abs, giant muscles, maybe not that, maybe that's not the case, but you will have a nice body based on your own genetic potential. Everyone can do that. You don't need to do the extreme that Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, does.
Right.
So if that's the case, why do people say no to it?
I honestly think that, in my opinion, I think a lot of people say no to it because they're thinking that it takes a lot more than, they see the folks on Instagram. They'll see the people that have these amazing physiques, but for the most part, those are the people that are really diving in deep because they want to be either physique competitors or Instagram models or whatever. Maybe there is a level of narcissism in some of these folks. But by and large, let's first of all even get to what a dad bod might even be. All right. Look, gentlemen, the thing about a quote unquote dad bod, carrying around a lot more excessive fat than you should. All right, like 20% body fat, 25% body fat, having the man boobs, having the gut. Right now, I would say I'm almost packing a dad bod right now because the holidays came around. I was in Louisiana for 2 months and enjoying some Louisiana food. And I was enjoying a little bit more of Irish whiskey than I needed to on a regular basis. And that kind of, took its toll a little bit. So it's one of those, having the dad bod is where it's not necessarily just about the physique per se, but it is about the fact that you're carrying more fat than you should. You're running into health problems that just aren't going to help you down the road. And you're not really showing much of a disciplined thing just to do that 30 minutes a day and perhaps eating more steak and chicken as opposed to a full-on hamburger or a Big Mac or anything like that. Eat the food that is designed for you to eat as opposed to something processed out of a laboratory that's got nothing but ingredients designed to basically kill you and make you dependent on pharmaceuticals later on down the road.
Yeah. Yeah. I think people are a little disorganized with their meal plans. I think they're disorganized with their shopping to the point that, hey, you've got to take out meat the night before so you can cook it properly. That takes effort. All of that takes effort. Cooking a meal takes effort. It's so much easier to go to a fast food place and just buy your food. And I think people have become accustomed to that. But once they get into a routine, it's not that difficult. It really isn't. So then it comes down to dealing with emotions. I know the easiest way for me to be happy is to indulge in some kind of treat, ice cream, food. It's such an easy way to feel good. And people want to feel good. You finish work and you're a little stressed. All right, I'm gonna mow down on a bowl of ice cream. Guaranteed, instant gratification. So how can you do it in a different way where you are stressed? You need some stress relief. What else can you do that might be productive? And I think people just easily default to food or alcohol or drugs or pornography, whatever it might be.
Yeah, 100%. It's real easy. Mondays are usually my most stressful day because Monday's the new day of the work week. There's always some new work stress going on. There's always some new drama. It's usually one of my longer days. Getting home, usually the first thing I want to do is grab a beer. And if I just grabbed one, that would be one thing. But who just has one beer? All right. Police will pull you over and how many beers did you have to drink tonight? Oh, 2 beers. They already know you probably had close to a 12-pack. Okay.
Right.
So you're having that, you're doing that. So what are other things you can do to relieve that stress? Maybe that's a question I can ask for someone who's been in the game a very long time and helping people get healthy. When you have that kind of client that, they're not necessarily, might not be in the need of a 12-step program, but they're in need of, hey, you might want to check your priorities with the beer or any of these other substances. What advice do you normally give them?
Oh man. Okay. So you're talking about somebody who's on the edge and they gravitate to the negative?
Right. It is a lot easier to just have a beer, have some, maybe have a shot or two of whiskey and then veg out, but it's just not, it's counterproductive to leading a healthier life. That is, you're going to have problems down the road if you keep down that path.
Right. It's funny. I've got, my answer is twofold. So number one is engage in meaningful conversation, real relationships with people. So the thing that I enjoy the most is having a coffee with my wife in the backyard. Something I love doing is reaching out to my kids and having a convo, joking around with them. I'll talk business with my son. I will joke around with my daughter, and we'll just have a call for 15 minutes, send texts back and forth of funny pictures and just joke around about it. So I think there's a quality of interaction in relationships, meaningful relationships, that goes a long way. So you might get home and say, like, I've got nothing. Join a club. Join a jiu-jitsu club, for example. Make connections with people there. Spend some time with your spouse. Reach out to your kids. Call a buddy. Go shoot pool with your buddy. Get involved with the community, because what people tend to do is they just kind of cocoon and they're to themselves and they find their little addiction. So that's one thing. And the second thing is to replace anything. Anytime you pull something like alcohol out of the picture, my dad was an alcoholic. What he needed to do was he needed to replace it with something else. It's interesting. My dad stopped smoking and drinking cold turkey. It was amazing.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. His replacement activities were painkillers and gambling.
Oh, shoot. That's like
I know. So it didn't get any better, right? It didn't get any better. And Chris, I'll tell you, there's something that my wife and I are both addicted to. You know what it is? It's crazy enough. It's chess. It's chess. We play every single day. That's our addiction. When we have time on our hands, it's kind of like we're going to play some chess, either against each other or against the computer. But it's a positive addiction. So you must replace whatever it is with something meaningful, because left in a vacuum without that substance, you're toast. You'll be thinking about it the whole time. So that's my advice.
Outstanding. So we were talking a minute ago about just having like these 30-minute workouts and stuff like that. I think something that the audience that maybe isn't already an active lifestyle might be something that they're having a hard time wrapping their mind around. Well, what do I do in those 30 minutes? What's some workout ideas you can give me? What are some ideas you would give?
Okay. Like if you have a dog, go take the dog for a walk. Now, my advice is there's periods of time in that walk that you need to make a little more brisk. So you go at a faster pace for about 15, 20 seconds, then back off, slow down. Just keep doing that. If you don't have a dog, go for a hike with your spouse. Go talk. And if that doesn't necessarily work out, put on a podcast. I like Joe Rogan. I listen to him. I'll go for a long walk, listen to my podcast. Really what I'm doing is I'm putting stuff in my mind. All right. The additional benefit is I'm exercising. Now that's one thing I do. The other thing is I'll jump in the pool. For those of you who don't have pools, you got to look for something else. I just had a workout before we got online, Chris. It was 5 sets of abs, and I've got a slam ball. 20. I pick up a 30-pound ball, lift it up, pick it down, slam it down. 20 times 5. That was my workout. That was it. It was 200 reps. It took me about 15, 20 minutes and I was done. You don't have to be super innovative. You don't have to necessarily have a gym. You just need to do something. How about you, Chris? What would you do if you had 30 minutes and minimal equipment and you were stuck at home? What would you do?
Well, you know what? I learned a lot about that when we had the lockdowns a couple of years back, because I still wanted to compete in a bodybuilding show. And I knew, well, I'm going to have to do something. And what I've learned over the years when it comes to muscle building is your body doesn't know the kind of stress it's getting. It doesn't care if it's doing a push-up with your feet elevated, or maybe what I actually did is I had my feet on one folding chair, then my arms on other folding chairs. So I got a real deep stretch and a little bit more of an extended contraction. I'd put a weighted backpack on me. I would do pull-ups. I have kettlebells here in the house. I found different ways to do hypertrophic exercises with kettlebells, which took a lot of Googling, but it was able to be done. And my workouts, 15, 20 minutes, 30 minutes. I have a treadmill here. So while I'm sitting here working, I got my laptop. I put it up on the treadmill and I would just walk at a gingerly pace, but it was enough to keep the heart moving. And next, I got 15,000 steps in. My day's good. I knew I was able to check off my day saying I accomplished what I needed to for myself and for others, and especially my health being a priority.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. If somebody told me that I had to go to a gym at this stage in my life to get into my car, drive to the gym 10, 15, 20 minutes away, hop into the gym, go to a locker, put your stuff in the locker, come out and share equipment with other people, I'd say absolutely not. Not interested. I'm uncomfortable in that environment. I used to be a gym rat decades ago. Right now, that makes me uncomfortable. I don't want to do it. And there's a lot of listeners who are saying, yeah, I feel the same way. If that's the case, Chris, I listen to your routine. The fact that you're doing pull-ups, treadmill, kettlebells, you have more than enough equipment. I've got some exercise bands in my gym. I used to have a full gamut of every single machine around. Exercise bands does just the same thing. Your muscles don't know the difference.
Right. Yeah. And that's the thing. I mean, I still like going to the gym. I still like being that gym rat. But that's for me and for maybe other listeners or viewers at this point too. It's also, you're surrounding yourself with like-minded individuals. All right. If you're staying at home and you're maybe just playing Call of Duty with other guys that are saying they don't have time to work out, you're going to continue to manifest that. If you're around people, even if it's just like you're listening to podcasts of people working out or whatever, it's almost like that law of attraction. I don't know enough about it to say that, but it's one of those things where it's like doing something for your health, no matter where it is. Again, like you said, your muscles don't know the difference, whether it's a band or a weight or whatever. But one thing that whoever is starting this program up, whatever it is you're going to do not compare yourself to the other guy that's in the gym already benching 315. Because there was a point he was probably lucky to get 75 pounds. So just do you and do it in the environment that you want to do it in, not in the environment someone says you should do it in. I think it's a very good takeaway.
Yeah, big time. And Chris, if you can't get into an environment where you have that positive influence, whether it's CrossFit, going to the gym, jiu-jitsu club, some kind of martial arts program, whatever it may be, pick up hockey, whatever it is. My recommendation is, and I know you're not asking for this, but I'm going to put a plug in here. People signing on with you through your program and getting a bunch of guys together and keeping each other accountable with you as the coach, checking off how they're doing is massive, because people need people.
Yes.
People need people, and that air of accountability is critical. Agreed?
Oh, for sure. I made my best strides when I hired a coach. And, my tagline, Unleash Your Champion, that's one of the biggest things that I want to give people. I think most people should at least try to do, if they want to get into the bodybuilding thing, is go and compete, because it'll definitely let you know what you're made of. All right. That said, my whole idea behind Unleash Your Champion is to have a person look well beyond just mediocre goals. I mean, shoot big. All right. Think about it for a second, folks. 260 pounds, A1C through the roof, 2 blood pressure pills, getting down to where I was actually competing on an NPC stage. I got my ass handed to me there, but I didn't look like a chump either. And then just 2 weeks later, picking up my pro card in a natural bodybuilding show, and that was in my 40s. And it just, if I can do that, anyone can do it, but you're just really making a bold statement with your life. You're, like you said in another conversation we've had, life's a big, bold adventure, or it's nothing at all. Yeah. And it's one of those things where, reach for something that you think is impossible, because heck, even if you just get 80% towards that goal, it's a hell of a lot better than getting 75%, 90% of your mediocre goal. So unleash your champion and kick some ass, because you've only got this one trip on this rock, and once it's done, it's done. God ain't going to give you a refund on your life if it sucked, because if it sucked, it's your fault.
Yeah. Oh, big time. Now, I believe it's the Chiefs and the Eagles today.
Yes.
Okay. I don't watch football. I don't know anything about who the players are. Who's the star quarterback? Who's the big name?
I can be honest with you, I don't watch football much either. I have no idea. So
okay. I'll give an example. I remember I actually caught a little bit of the Super Bowl. Tom Brady made a comeback against, I think it was the Ravens, and I like the story. I think of something like wearing a Tom Brady jersey, which I would never do. I'm never going to wear the jersey of another man on the back of my shirt, ever. Unless it's my son's name. I will never wear another man's jersey. Just think about this. You've got a bunch of people. I'm going to offend a lot of people. I don't care. They're going to sit in front of the TV with their jersey on, with another man's name on the back, and they're going to eat their chicken wings and hot dogs and everything else. And they're out of shape. They've got the Dadbod, or worse. 42% of Americans are obese. And they're going to watch these elite athletes, in some cases, with these massive ripped biceps, lean quads and hamstrings, beast mode. It makes no sense. Here's guys performing, fighting for every single inch on the field, and I'm wearing the Tom Brady jersey, eating nachos, watching this. It makes no sense at all. You can at least hop onto a treadmill and watch the game while you exercise. Okay, so people want to belong to something. They want to belong to, well, I'll tell you what, when I was in Toronto, the Toronto Maple Leafs did not care about me. Wearing their jersey did not make me part of the team. But what you can do is, in your case, somebody can contact you and they can be part of your team, where you can coach them. And now they've got something real, where they're performing in the real arena of life and getting into shape for themselves, with the prize being personal pride. Having your kids look at you and say, my dad's my hero. My son did this podcast. He's quite the guy. He's quite the influencer out there. He's got a big following. And somebody asked him, who's your role model? And he says, honestly, I don't have any role models or idols, but if I had to pick one, it would probably be my dad. And I heard that, as a matter of fact, on social media. I'm like, wow, he's talking about me. And he said, why? And he was talking about work ethic, determination, athleticism, Wouldn't you want that? Chris, I never missed my kids' activities. I worked 70 hours a week. I went to 2 kids' activities like nonstop, but I always found time to work out. Always. My kids came first, but so did my health and my body. No excuses, ever.
See, and I was going to ask you that. I'm glad you touched on that. And I think we've covered it pretty much already, that the exercises themselves don't have to be nearly as time consuming as people think. And you worked 70 hours. I know you've definitely earned the lifestyle you have now to where, you're not having to work, which is phenomenal, right? But yeah, I mean, I had the children. We did now I didn't do what you did and stayed in shape. I worked out a lot. Even when I was a big boy. I mean, I was doing the kettlebell lifting. I even had in my backyard in Arizona, I had this huge rock. I have no idea how much it weighed, but I used to lift that thing up.
Yep.
Like George Hackenschmidt type of weight training. It's kind of,
yeah.
This old school just kick my ass. But it was, look, there's some folks out there that can look at a Twinkie, gain 15 pounds. That's me. And then there's people that can work out for, 20 minutes a day, eat a pizza and still have a 6-pack. Well,
Yep.
You have to deal with the cards that are dealt you and work with that. And so, yeah, it is very difficult, but you said it yourself. You still found a way to do it. So now with the people that one of their biggest objections right now is trying to say, I don't have the time for eating properly and getting their exercises in. What advice what's the best advice to give those people?
Oh man, I don't even know if it's advice. It's a bit of a wake-up call. I know this, to each their own. I'm not going to convince a person against their will that it might be obese or overweight, that they're going to run into problems later on. Guaranteed. Hey, what happened with COVID, I think the age of mortality was 80 in the US. It dropped down to 78. And the way things are going, I don't think it's going to rise again. I think it's going to be 78, 77. Hey, if you want to off yourself early through crappy eating, that's up to you. But I know this, when it comes down to my family, I tell them, like, sorry, but what we do here is we stay in shape. We are the example. A long time ago in Canada, we used to have a program called Participation, where the government would put out these ads saying it's a good idea to work out. Nowadays, they don't care. People don't care. And, pumping ads for sugar and junk food and salt and all that kind of stuff, hedonism. I think it's hard to overcome that. But I would look at somebody and say, dude, what's your standards, man? Like, is this how you want to live your life? Do you want your wife to secretly look at other guys and say, I wish my husband was like that? Women are pretty good. They're not that shallow. But here's the thing. You take a look at the movie industry, and it's the top stars are good looking, fit people.
Right.
And here's the thing. The reason why they're the top stars is because the average Joe and Jill support them by purchasing their movies. So that is the standard. But all of a sudden, quietly, we've said, hush, hush, we're not going to say that. We're going to, body shame anybody who criticizes. We're going to shame anyone who criticizes fat people. Okay, but you're not fat. You have some fat on your body. You're not fat. Don't identify yourself as fat. You have some on, and you don't need a 6-pack, but you do have a sense of personal responsibility to at least be healthy.
That's what it boils down to. It's not just about looks. However, that is important. I know from experience, my wife, God love her, I know she still loved me when I was in my heavier days. But I also know that a few times waking up around 4:30 in the morning and she's seen me in my workout clothes and I look a lot nicer than I used to. Certain activities happen that didn't happen at 4:30, 5:30 in the morning when she saw me walking around in my gym clothes. So, honey, I love you. I'm not giving away everything, but those are the things. And also, in addition to that, it's about adding days to your life. It's about adding life to your days. And all the activities that you do with your family now are so much more enjoyable when you're in a position of health. Like when you're going to the beach with your family, when you're going on a hike, hell, just going to the store. And I know from experience, I was always the usually the biggest person in any room I went into. And it wasn't because I was built like The Rock. I was built more like, I'm not going to name any big actors, but I was fat, and it was embarrassing. You know, I'd see my pictures on Facebook. There I am, usually the youngest guy in the group, but I was the biggest guy. Okay. Even with the exercising I was doing, even with the once in a while going on an intermittent fasting kick or a keto kick without checking my calories at the door, because there's so many snake oil salesmen out there that'll tell you if you eat in a certain way, you can eat as many calories as you want. It's like, well, let's halt the brakes there. Just because the calories are coming from organic ghee and almonds and ribeye steaks with more butter on top, calories still go somewhere. They don't disappear because they were from fat and not carbohydrates. So for dietary ideas for people that really need to make a switch, or they want to make a switch, but they don't know how, what's the best advice, or at least just to start, that you would give them?
Okay. So number one is get into a routine. So what that routine would be is it's your starting lineup of foods. So that would be 2 different breakfasts that you enjoy, 3 different lunches, 4 different dinners, and maybe 1 or 2 go-to snacks if you build snacks into your program. All right. So it's a structure. It's a structure. You know, you're going to have either this or that for breakfast. So you eliminate the guesswork, right? You shop from that list. You always have those foods available, and they're tasty stuff. So that's number 1, structure. Number 2 is I personally would hire a coach to say, just help me with the calories. Just help me with the portions. I just need to know the portions so that if I have 15,000 calories a week, I know how to spread that out throughout the day. So it's 2,186 calories, I think, something like that per day. And I know how to balance it out. And then number 3, the rule of thumb for me is get rid of all processed stuff. Anything has a long shelf life, get rid of it. All right. So that would mean getting some adequate proteins in, getting some fruits and veggies into your diet. It's that simple. So what would that look like for breakfast? It might be something like turkey, bacon, and eggs. For lunch, it might be a grilled chicken with a salad, maybe a little bit of rice on the side. For dinner, it might be pork loin. It could be chicken. It could be steak with some veggies and maybe a side of fruits. And you stick with your template, and you don't budge from your template. Now, if you want the Doritos and you want the ice cream, you have your safety day, your refuel day on Saturday, where you have some of those things every Saturday. That's what I would recommend. Keep it super simple. If you do have the cravings and you're drinking your water, 8 to 10 glasses a day, chances are you're going to quench that, because I think a lot of people, what they really feel is thirst, but they mistake it for hunger. And then the final thing is, no matter what, you almost have to eat like a prisoner. Okay. This is the times they feed you. This is when you're eating. And that's it. Same thing with you. You're going to eat at, let's say, 8 a.m., 1 p.m., and 6 p.m., and that's it. Shut down any other time.
Yep.
Just some rules.
For sure. For contest prep, for those that do contest prep, folks, it does get a little bit more complicated than that. So don't get too wrapped up in that. Well, I don't want to be a bodybuilder. You don't have to be. To be healthy, you do not have to be, 4% body fat and getting up on stage in a man thong and a spray tan, but utilizing at least most of the principles of natural bodybuilding. I'm not trying to disparage anybody that's not in that natural realm, but in the natural bodybuilding world, it's predominantly about optimal health, including having a nice physique. And so right there, we basically put it out in a nutshell. Whether or not, the whole dad bod thing is or isn't sexually attractive, the health problems that come with having too much fat on your body is more so the problem than whether or not your wife's attracted to you. But we can also say all day, like you said earlier, yeah, she might not make overt, but she might be looking at that guy at the grocery store who looks really nice and going, damn, I wish my husband could look like that. So I think we pretty much wrapped that up as far as that is concerned. Now, you advocate high intensity training, like Dorian Yates, Mike Mentzer, and things like that. So for a home workout, how would that work with limited equipment? What would you tell somebody to do?
All right, I'll give you an example. I've got these exercise bands. They're big strength bands. They're 2 green bands, and I attached a handle to them. So I would do something like a shoulder press with those bands. And my recommendation is find an exercise band that allows you to do a rep range that is very challenging with good form. So in this case, I'm doing a shoulder press. I ended up getting 12 reps the other day with these exercise bands. It's just exercise bands. They're super cheap. I record that result. The following workout, I need to get 13. Then I work to 14, work to 15. Once I get 16, I need to change the bands. It's that simple. It's progressive bodybuilding. So as you said earlier, it's not necessarily the equipment that you use because your muscles don't know. It's the fact that you're using equipment that allows you to record results, number one, and progressively, incrementally get better over time by recording your results. That's it. That's all it is. So for example, maybe your goal is not to necessarily get this massive bodybuilding chest, but you could do something as simple as push-ups. Good quality push-ups, good cadence, and you say, all right, I did push-ups with my knees off the ground, nice straight back, and I got 20 the other day. Next workout, I'm going to aim for 21. I'm going to record it. 22, 23, 24, 25, 30. And then there's a point in time where there's just too many reps, and then you put on a weight on your back, or you somehow change the intensity so it's back down to 15, 18 reps. Progressive bodybuilding. That's all it is. It shouldn't be complicated. Now, because you're training with that kind of intensity and you're going until failure and beyond because you're trying to beat your previous day's best, you're always trying to beat that best, that means you're exerting yourself above and beyond what your body was normally capable of. Do that enough times, I guess, do it properly over the course of a couple workouts. You're going to have to allow your body to rest. So you could theoretically get away with 2 to 3 days a week very easily. Let your body rest the other days. Again, everyone can do that.
Easily, for sure. Well, since we're speaking about bodybuilding, is there any future competitions? You got any more left in the tank that you want to do?
Man, you know what? I thought about competing at 50. I'm 52 now. And sometimes I look at the physique and I go, I think I could do really well. I think I could do really well. Why not do this? And I think the mindset right now is, number one is the sport's changed from 30 years ago, where a long time ago, it used to be bodybuilding judges, judging bodybuilding contests. But now with all the categories that are going on, you've got a representative on the panel who is a bikini person. You've got a representative who is a men's fitness person. You know what I'm saying, right?
Right.
And in doing that, they look for different things. I've been a judge numerous times, and I had to judge the bikini class. I'm like, I don't even know what to look for. How can I judge that category accurately if I don't know what I'm looking for? So I would almost want to disqualify myself as a judge. So I'm going to step on the stage now as a competitor and have who judge me? A panel of different competitors or former competitors. I don't think they would truly appreciate or judge me properly. And I'm not going to subject myself to that. And the second thing is how many people actually take drugs and get away with it. So Chris, that's where I'm kind of thrown off by competing. If we could fix those two things, judging and drug testing, I'd say yes. How about you? Because I know you're competing again.
Yeah, I'm going to continue to compete. In fact, this year, a good friend of mine out of the Netherlands, Rico van Housen, he nicknamed me the Cleveland Oak a couple of years back. So I'm making a documentary called Becoming the Cleveland Oak, where I want to talk about and it's not to pat myself on the back, although there will be some, congratulate me type of stuff going on. But it's mainly, the main purpose of it is to inspire other men and women who are struggling and saying, look, it's possible, it's hard work, it's possible, and it's damn sure worth it. So I'm going to compete again. It does frustrate me. I know of a couple people, like one competition I did. Some of the guys that got up on stage, I was like, you know what? They look fantastic. But I'm having a real hard time thinking that this guy's at least not dabbled in something. Okay. I know that in some organizations, if you haven't touched anything in 7 years, they're considering you a natty. I personally believe you're a natty if you've never touched anything. But I guess maybe in 7 years, the effects of the gear is going to wear off anyway. I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I don't play one on.
Right. Right.
It does frustrate me when I see people taking the first place from somebody who's really put in the hard work and done it the right way. So that does piss me off. Is it enough for me to not compete? No, because I'm really doing it more so for myself and pushing myself to limits I didn't think I could.
Yeah.
I never thought I was going to do this. I really didn't. The first time I got up on stage, I had no business. I was the fat guy in a thong getting up on stage. There was a guy in the audience laughing at me. I wanted to jump off the stage and beat the shit out of him.
Yeah.
But it's like, hey,
Yeah.
I might be the chubby guy, but you're definitely fatter than me. But then I'm like, well, you know what? At least I got up on stage looking that way, so I can't expect to not have somebody look at me differently. But that did light a fire under my butt to do it right from that point forward. I honestly never thought I was going to pull it off. I really didn't. I didn't think I was going to have the discipline. I didn't think I was going to have the determination, any of that stuff. But every single day when I got up and I drank my coffee, and I listened to my meditations, and then I put on a bodybuilding motivational video on the way to the gym. One thing I heard a lot was be the hero of your own movie. It was basically Joe Rogan clip in there somewhere talking about be the guy that wakes up every day. And when you have that mindset, it's like, put it in your mind's eye, the film crew is following you and you are making a bodybuilding motivational video. And people are looking at you lift those weights. People are looking at you just destroying it. And that was enough for me to keep going. I didn't have that much fire in it last year. I was some of the competitions I've done, some of the competitors don't really put forth a lot of effort and it shows. So I was like, man, I don't really have to kill myself this year and I'll still do okay. That was a big mistake because even though I was in great shape, I looked fantastic in the real world. In a bodybuilding show, I still had about another, I still needed to work about 20% more improvement. So I'm not doing that again. This year, I'm proving to myself that I really still have it. I'll be 50 next year. I told Philip Ricardo that I think as a natural bodybuilder, if I don't compete in one of his shows, I'm natural bodybuilding wrong. So I'm doing his show next year. I wanted to do it this year, but I know I couldn't put forth a really good physique in just a couple of months. So his show will have to wait until next year. I'm going to still compete. It does upset me that there are people that cheat. And that's unfortunate because it's just like there's so many other organizations out there that they don't care if you're taking steroids or using any of those substances because it's understood you're going to. So go there. Even you win the Natural Olympia. You win first place as the overall Natty Olympia. What's the payout there? I don't even think it's like $20,000. I don't know, to be honest.
Right. Something like that. I don't even think it's that.
Right. It's not that much. Let's just, for the sake of argument, say it's $10,000. All right. So how much money did you spend on gear
I know.
to get that $10,000 prize and hope to God you don't get popped for it and get put on the wall of shame later?
Exactly.
And the other thing that I really don't like about fake natties is they're the ones that give off this very difficult aesthetic to achieve that the men that are saying they don't want to be the selfish person and do these workouts. They're comparing themselves to that, saying, well, that's not attainable, so I'm not going to do that. It's like, well, look, if you saw, I'll hang one second.
Yeah, right on.
This was when I won my first place. I know we got the glare. Let me turn that off. But this was the first place picture. That's about 161 pounds.
It looks awesome.
That's very attainable. And there's my rock who was with me through the whole damn thing, telling me she was proud of me. That was the greatest thing I've ever heard. And it touched my heart. You know what I mean? And that is why I don't like the fake natties, because they make you think that these guys that end up looking like The Rock, who I love The Rock, but we know he's not natty, and I don't even think he claims to be natty. But there's people that look like him that say they're natty.
Yep.
And then they give this false sense of there's no way I'm going to achieve that. I think if people really knew that it's not necessarily going to be looked jacked, you're just going to look more athletic than anything else. that's the achievable goal, and that's what you should strive for.
Yeah, yeah, big
You're
time.
going to look athletic. You're going to look great with your shirt off if you're shredded. Okay, but even when I'm shredded, I put my shirt on. I don't look jacked. I just look thin. I look athletic. I look like maybe I'm a wrestler or a karate guy or a boxer. I don't look like 7-time Mr. Olympia, because I'm not. And that's where I think one of the bigger mistakes that people have when they see these people that are talking about, how you should be jacked and shredded and, I'm a natural. Bullshit. You're not a natural. Own it. No one cares. It's 2023. There's people doing a hell of a lot worse things than steroids. Just be honest.
Yep. Yep. You know, what's interesting. I remember when I was 20, 21 years old, I went to a bodybuilding contest and I thought I could compete against some of these guys. I saw them. I saw that they were on steroids and I said, I will never compete. And it was not until it was 2000, the year 2000, there was a natty organization that came around, one of the first ones in Canada. And I said, I'm going to do this. I'm going to compete. I ordered a kit. You had to mail in for it. They sent it to you. And I saw the poster. There's a guy named Dave Whitehead on the poster. He looked phenomenal. And I said, there's no way I could compete against that guy. I'm not doing this. I waited from 2000 to 2007 to finally have the courage and the guts to compete. It took me 7 years. I competed. I won everything that year and very proud of myself. But the point was, it was something I needed to do to prove something to myself. I went on to have a very successful bodybuilding career and it paid off. It was very lucrative from a coaching standpoint as my side hustle, in addition to being a school teacher, being Mr. Natural Canada, being a natural pro in the OCB and natural bodybuilding in the United States. It paid off. But I'm at a point right now where I don't think it matters anymore. But what I do know for a guy like you, and this is what's so inspiring, is the moment you put a date on a contest and money towards that commitment, you are going to move towards excellence. Yes. Versus somebody like me who says, okay, I'm not going to compete. I'm going to try to get in shape for the summertime, but there's no accountability. That's the first thing. All right. And that's where there's so much of an advantage in you competing, because you have that concrete date. That's what I love about it. And I'm following your story with a lot of excitement because of that. Number two, Chris, the fact that you're going to work towards this means you're going to inspire a heck of a lot of people. You're going to inspire people who look at you and say, okay, he's not shredded or anything. He's got some muscle, good looking guy. He's going to try this. Maybe there's hope for me. Let me watch his story. And I know you're telling your story on social media in a big way. And people are like, I like this guy. And they're going to follow you. You're going to inspire people because you took that step that I'm not taking. So in actual fact, you're doing people a service that is incredible. It's beyond you. It's not about you. Even though it is, you're serving others with your story. And that's what I love about this. And that's why I'm following you closely, because I don't follow very many people. I follow very few. But I'm following you because you're on a mission. And you're going to do well, and you're going to inspire people. And I love that. So a guy like you, absolutely. Just like back when 2000, where I said, I need to do this for me. I was in that same boat.
Amen. Thank you. First of all, your kind words mean a lot to me. And
well-deserved, by the way.
Thank you. And if I'm gonna bare my soul, after my contest last year, I was, after my contest, I always pig out at least after the show. And I'm talking, I eat everything under the sun. First thing I do, I have a dozen peanut butter cups because I love peanut butter cups. And I never eat them throughout the year, especially when contest prep is coming around, because they're just so darn addicting. So after that, I eat that. Then I usually go out and have Mexican food. And then I'm going to be drinking a little bit. And then when I'm doing my bulk season, it's taken me 3 bulking seasons or off seasons to learn this. You can't do dirty bulks. That's where I'm at right now. And that's why I'm like, son of a bitch. I got 34 weeks out. I'm going to be just fine because I'm dialing everything in. yesterday. Okay.
Yep.
But
Yep.
it's one of those things where it's like the fitness journey, the bodybuilding journey, there's not a finish line. This is something you do all the time. However, for those of you that are really wanting to accomplish something like Tom did in 2000 and 2007 and everything else, that's what the community is about. That's what Desire for Iron Fitness is about. That's what the whole natural bodybuilding community is about. It's about really doing something amazing. And yes, competing in a bodybuilding show, you are going to do something amazing, and you're definitely going to see what you're made out of. You're definitely going to see what kind of mettle and resolve you have. I highly encourage anybody to do it. And there's so many different divisions now. You have the wellness division or the transformation division, where your story is going to inspire other people too. And let's be honest, folks, we all have an expiration date, and then when we're in the dirt, most people might not remember us. But if you really work hard to make your mark in society,
Yeah.
you have a chance of at least leaving it behind, a legacy to somebody.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what it's about.
That's big, man. That's big. Chris, I've had in the last couple of days, I'm going to say about 5 people that I've talked to who had some real needs just to talk to somebody, some real issues in life. And I was honored to be the person they called to help them, because I've been in the trenches. I've put in the work, and to have the honor of helping these people and taking that call makes me feel good. Everybody should have that feeling where your family can count on you, because you're not always a rock, but most of the time, consistently enough, you've done enough things where people respect you, they admire you, and they admire your accomplishments. I will tell you right now, having the dad bod and settling for average doesn't cut it. Exactly. Look in the mirror, have a reality check, look in the mirror and just say to yourself, am I really happy with what I've achieved? And more often than not, you're going to say no. And then just take the courage to do the daily things, small daily things. That's all it is.
Yes, sir.
And you'll surprise yourself over time.
Yep. That's one thing along the journey that I experienced a lot are some of my friends that are still not even trying to improve themselves, saying, man, I wish I could do that too. Folks, it is hard work. I'm not going to lie to you. You're going to have, it's going to break your spirit sometimes. You're going to laugh, you're going to cry. And if you're really digging deep into like a contest prep, there's even bigger issues to deal with, but like low libido and things like that. But we don't even have to worry about that. If you're just trying to get into great shape, yes, it's hard work. It is doable, but it takes the work. And, you know, saying you want to do it someday, you can't keep procrastinating. You have to do it. I don't want to put this out on blast too hard, but a friend of mine just recently passed away at 40 years old. Now, he's lived a really good life and everything. He wasn't a procrastinator or nothing like that. But think about the fact that at 40 years old, he's already gone. No one knows when that date is for any of us. We can't keep taking the days that we have for granted. Yeah. Do something great with your life starting yesterday. Since yesterday's already gone, start today. Please, guys, I beg of you to not let your life waste away, because mediocrity, it just sucks. It's bullshit. You're made for greatness. Be great.
Facts.
All right. Well, Tom, I want to thank you so much for coming on board today. Seriously, it's always a great conversation with you. You're welcome back anytime you want. And folks, if you haven't already checked it out, get on Amazon right now. The Ultimate Men's Playbook. I'll put a link in the description, and I'll put some links in the description where you can follow Tom. Great man. I am honored to be a part of your life, brother. Thank you for being a part.
Likewise, brother. Likewise.